Well, welcome back, and we're here at the memorial of the Bondi terror attack. Even at this time of the evening, there's still hundreds gathered behind us. And tonight, the alleged gunman, Naveed Akram, has been charged with 59 offences, including 15 counts of murder. Now, Australians are gathered here now to pay their respects to those who lost their lives. Many others are still fighting to pull through in hospital. Look at the sea of flowers, hundreds, maybe even thousands of bouquets. And this is what our country does beautifully. We come together as Australians, we wrap our arms around each other. We say, never again. And Josh Frydenberg delivered one of the most powerful speeches in our nation's history today. He made it here at the memorial site. And I spoke with him a short while afterwards, and here's our chat. Josh, to say that was an incredible speech is an understatement. I felt like I was watching a similar moment to when Martin Luther King gave his I Have a Dream speech. That was a once in a lifetime speech from the heart. What were you feeling in the moment?
Well, Sharri, you turn up here and you see people paying their respects, people crying, people laying wreaths and flowers, and you see the inscriptions, the messages. I saw a little book about Matilda. I saw messages from non-Jews and from Jews saying that they stand with the community at this time of need. So what I was feeling was just raw emotion, sadness, but also red hot anger, because this should never have happened. This is the most deadly terrorist attack in Australia's history, and it's the greatest loss of Jewish life anywhere in the world outside of the state of Israel since October the 7th. And so this has brought great shame on Australia. This has stained our nation forever. And it's occurred on the Prime Minister's watch. And unlike Port Arthur, the warning signs were there for everyone to see. And so it's super important, not just to the healing, but to the prevention that we need from here, that the Prime Minister comes down, stands where I stood, and takes personal responsibility and accepts accountability for what has happened, because this was a complete failure, not just of intelligence and law enforcement. This was a failure of leadership to set the red lines early on that were not to be crossed, and to root out this radical Islamist ideology that's taken hold in Australia.
The death toll could still rise, and yet all we've heard from the Prime Minister since this terror attack is gun reform. Sure, that's important, but as you pointed out in your speech, that's not what is at the heart of that. That's not what has driven this hatred. You just outlined a roadmap that the Prime Minister and the leadership should follow. Can you tell us those key points?
Well, Australia is leaderless at the moment. Australia is leaderless at the moment, because what has taken place here needed a Prime Minister to stand up, accept responsibility, and to say he would not waste a second before implementing the changes that were necessary, even if they were unpopular, even if they were difficult, to ensure we don't revisit another terrorist attack like this. And so the Prime Minister and his government and premiers have allowed our country to be radicalised over the last 2.5 years. So in the ideas that I put forward for the Prime Minister was, first and foremost, he's got to stop the hate preachers. The hate preachers were celebrating on October the 8th the terrorist attack that happened in Israel, and that's what their community's been hearing for the last 2.5 years, that it was something that deserved courage, it was represented courage, and it was a source of pride. And of course you end up with this. Secondly, the Prime Minister needs to ban organisations that spew hate, like Hizb ut-Tahrir. It's banned in Germany, it's banned in the UK, it's banned in moderate Muslim countries. And we know 18 months ago, Nick McKenzie was pointing out, and other journalists were pointing out, that it was grooming young men in our schools and our universities online. So how can that exist? Likewise on the right. you've got fascist neo-Nazis who are protesting or promoting racial ideologies and anti-Semitism on the steps of the parliaments in Victoria and New South Wales. That has to stop. The Prime Minister also has got to prosecute incitement. The Prime Minister's also got to stop the protests. There's a ceasefire in place and those protests become incubators of hatred. The Prime Minister has to stand up on immigration and ensure it's a lot more rigorous. We do not want people in this country who do not support democracy, who do not support equal rights for men and women, who do not support our liberal values of tolerance and understanding. And we need, of course, much stronger action in our universities. We need a response to Gillian Siegel's report. And we need, of course, for the Prime Minister to put in place a Royal Commission, because we've had Royal Commissions for banking and for aged care and also for welfare, but 17 people have died now, and so we need a Royal Commission with answers. So across the board, the Prime Minister can take action. It's hard. He'll get bipartisan support, I'm sure, but there's no time to waste.
You say the country is leaderless. We'd all have to agree with that. We have seen not even weak leadership, no leadership virtually. I mean, you are the first person to stand up with an 8-point plan and say this is what needs to be done to stop another tragedy happening again. I promise you, Josh, this isn't a putting you on the spot moment, but you do have to now seriously consider a return to politics because you are needed as the Prime Minister in this country.
Well, what the last 72 hours have shown and what the last 2.5 years have shown is that who's in charge really matters. It matters first and foremost to our security and our way of life and of course to our living standards. And we're being failed at the moment. There's no two ways about that. My position hasn't changed. I've left the door open, but I'm not making any decisions at this point in time. I don't care what your political persuasion is when it comes to my personal security. I don't care what your religion is when it comes to my personal security. You can be Calathumpian for all I care. All I want you to be is morally upright. I want you to have a moral compass. I want you to believe in what makes Australia special, and I want you to uphold that. And right now, there are people in our country who do not believe that, who do not uphold that. And we need leaders, people in positions of authority who are going to root that out.
Well, thank you for coming here today, for laying the roadmap, putting some policy positions forward. Let's hope the federal government and agencies and law enforcement follow your direction. Thank you so much, Josh.
Thank you.